The Walt Disney Company's Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, found at both Walt Disney World and Disneyland versions of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, while technologically impressive, has a somewhat unflattering reputation, where the experience has, at least for a large portion of guests, left much to be desired. Now, after 6 long years, Disney has finally provided details on a replacement mission that will have us traveling to familiar places from the original Star Wars films. However, because of its connection to Lucasfilm's upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu film, guests will be forced to wait even longer for Hondo's next assignment. Let's talk about Disney's showcase at South by Southwest, featuring updates to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, here on That Park Place. Well, the Disney company is exposed. You know, they say, Jonas, that they're a technology company, but I didn't quite see it that way at their technology showcase here at South by Southwest 2025. There they are. There's Josh Giamaro right there. And look at that, Alan Bergman coming onto the scene right there. I wonder why he joined this conference. Well, was it to tell everybody that we're no longer going to be developing anything original at the company, at least for the park side is? Yes, that's probably it. And, you know, both these guys are trying to get that CEO seat, so there might have been something with that as well. There you go. Ah, look at them. Amazing. Also, too, we also got people like, what is it, Jon Favreau? He made an appearance. Robert Downey Jr. Big stars right there. Pete Docter from Pixar. Everybody showed up for this one conference to talk about all the things that they'll be adding to the parks, at least in more detail than they did at D23, which this was kind of an expansion of, which I thought was very, very interesting. Where they start, you may have heard of a brand called Star Wars back in the day. It was an amazing brand. Actually, the first movie came out in 1977, and then Disney acquired it, and you may not have heard of it anymore, but they were here to tell you that it is still relevant as ever, and we're going to be adding Star Wars experiences to the parks. What might that be, however? It's going to be in the form of a mission to be added to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge's Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that great? A little bit 5 years too late, I thought. But here you go. We've got some concept art for this project right here. Apparently, they want to have you go back to that original trilogy that everybody loved, that everybody wanted to see, but didn't upon Star Wars Galaxy's Edge's inception. Guys, are you excited to get one more mission coming May 22nd, 2026?
That's interesting timing, isn't it? So this is Mandalorian and Grogu ride number 2 at the park then, because I think maybe Chewbacca shows up in Star Tours, but there's a Star Tours segment where Mandalorian and Grogu show up, and now they're putting them in Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, which was focused on the Clone Wars era, I think. I don't know. When does Hondo Ohnaka die in the timeline? I don't know if they've ever established that, but he's a Clone Wars character.
I'm hoping soon.
Oh.
That's terrible culture. Come on. Everybody loves Hondo Ohnaka. No, so they set Galaxy's Edge originally between the events of Last Jedi and Rise of Palpatine, or Skywalker. Ironically, when everybody else is dead. So we can assume, because of the timeline that they've set all this stuff in, that Hondo Ohnaka lives at least until episode 9. Is that right?
I guess so.
Mando, a couple of years after the
what is he, a Weequay? I guess they live a ridiculously long time.
They
make it sound like when you first watch Star Wars, they make it seem like the Jedi were 1,000 years before, when really it's like, if it's the 2000s, it was more like the 1960s when all this happened. Like, all the people are still alive. There's really not much movement in technology. And that's George Lucas. That's a George Lucas thing. As he wrote them, he realized that he had to do it this way. There was a quote on there that I found very interesting. I watched the South by Southwest panel, and they say that Robert Downey Jr. crashed the panel. Then why was he telling them to move the teleprompter forward to his next lines? That was interesting. Okay.
Wait.
Everybody was using a teleprompter, by the way.
That was scripted?
It was fun watching the people who were going off script versus the people who actually absolutely had to have the script going. Jon Favreau is used to talking in front of crowds of people and is used to speaking extemporaneously. And you can tell there's a couple of moments where he screwed up. He said something early or whatever because he went freeform with it.
He tripped up a little bit a couple of times, actually. That was a little bit like, ooh, he's not quite used to that. But go ahead, Jonas, sir.
No, I think the teleprompter guy screwed up more than Jon Favreau screwed up.
Yeah, but he typed a lot of ums on the teleprompter all of a
sudden. Hey, I like to fill out the shows with a lot of ums and ahs when I'm very tired here. It's my style to go ahead and have a little gap in between every word. Somebody asked me in a comment whether or not I was doing a Jeff Goldblum impression, and I don't know if that hurt or if that made me feel good
fine.
About myself.
Fine. You're fine.
But that being said, watching this and watching what they're talking about with Star Wars, they talked a lot about, remember that time that we had pirates in the parks and then we had pirates in the movies and then the pirates went back into the parks? That's what we're doing with Star Wars now. Yeah. We have the movies and we made a park thing from the movies. And now all these droids, we're going to put those droids into the movies. So see, it's the same, it must mean that this is an integrated company.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really something. You can see right here, even in this shot of Bespin or Cloud City, you have the Razor Crest there, so they're making a connection there for sure. You also have the Millennium Falcon with the wrong dish. That's interesting. So maybe we get some story behind that. I don't know.
Do we have the Slave One?
Yeah, no Slave One in this.
Why?
People are familiar. That's Boba Fett's ship. No. What do they call it now?
It's a fire spray, and so they call it the fire spray or Boba Fett starship now, which is okay, guys. Maybe he calls it that because there's some artistic or sentimental reason why he wants to call his ship the Slave One, and it's under his command now.
It is Disney. So I mean, they could have had a different reason for calling it the fire spray because they're literally burning everything down right now.
That's true. Yeah. We also got confirmation that we're going to be heading back to Tatooine. So,
Hey, there's only 2 planets in Star Wars.
Yep.
So, because they keep blowing the other ones
up. Do we know that it's Tatooine, though?
Yes.
There is apparently
Sand
there is
planet number 6.
Right.
So they talk about it at this conference here, and they say the words. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, they say the words Tatooine. Here you go. I'll play it right now.
To give you a little sneak peek of what Smuggler's Run is going to feature.
Yeah, so here's a shot of the iconic desert planet Tatooine, one of the many locations we're going to have an opportunity.
Yep,
you got me there.
Hey, I had to do the research here, but hey, you know what? Tatooine. We haven't seen that place before, so that's good. And also, too, we're going to be touring the blown apart pieces from the second Death Star orbiting Endor. So, in case anybody thought it was completely incinerated,
I thought it was like landed on a planet. Like and then they had Star Destroyers that couldn't go up from the planet. You don't remember that?
Yep.
Pieces of it go everywhere. Culture. Come on.
Okay.
Some of it orbiting in space, some of it on planets. So
gravity. There's no gravity in Star Wars. See, larger bodies attract smaller bodies. Yeah, or usually. Anyway,
you would think, but it's interesting. This I've been waiting for a new mission for. Ever since Galaxy's Edge opened in 2019, right?
Yeah.
And we're finally getting one, but we have to wait like a year and a half for it. That's interesting. And 2, it's like, isn't it 5 years too late? Hasn't the enthusiasm for this attraction died off considerably since that time? I don't know. I don't know if this is going to really move the needle for Star Wars. But this was it. I mean, we didn't get any new attractions to speak of, not even details on Star Tours experiences, which was interesting. Go ahead, Coach. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say I was waiting for another mission for this since the first mission.
Yeah.
I mean, before that, even. I mean, I was waiting for an actual Star Wars mission. I was kind of excited about that. I look, if it sounds like I'm down on this part of the park, I am.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring. where that tiny little sliver of Harry Potter over there at Universal, the two tiny slivers of Harry Potter that they have over there at Universal, those are like alive, and there's little nooks and crannies to explore. I really have no interest in visiting war-torn Tunisia or whatever that is over there in Galaxy's Edge. It just feels like I've walked into a poorer country that happens to have Star Wars merch.
It should be cheaper then, right? Rough. But no.
Well, we'll have to see about all of that. It looks like they're correlating this with the release of the actual Mandalorian and Grogu film, which is why the date is set the way it is. I don't know. I put it out now, but apparently there might be spoilers in this whole thing. So let's see how worth the wait this might be.
Hey, I hope the movie's great. I'll say that. I hope the movie's great because I would like a good movie. My hopes for that have been dashed. The fact that Jon Favreau's name has been attached to many things that I'm just kind of about, or the fact that like Daredevil, I still haven't watched Daredevil. I haven't had time and haven't been appearing on the pro shows where it's being reviewed, but I hear it's at least mediocre to good, and it's only getting like minimal viewership. With less than Agatha, according to Disney's numbers. You got to kind of decipher it because they start throwing out these huge, like, well, it was over, instead of 3 days, it's like it's over 5 days, it's over 7 days. This is how much it made. Like, why are you counting it like that? So,
well, hopefully it makes more money than Daredevil. I don't know. I don't know how well this Star Wars film, the first one since Rise of Skywalker, will actually perform at the box office, but they seem to be throwing their weight behind it. We'll have to see on that front. Speaking of seeing on that front, let's see. Aurora Uplinks with a member for 5 months. The Empire Strikes Back and Cloud City. Good. Yes, I do think that is a good thing to include some of these places that people will have wanted to experience for a while. I remember, Jonas, do you remember this? Well, maybe you don't, but maybe Culture, you do. When you were walking out the exit for Star Tours and you saw those posters on the side, you were like, oh man, I can't wait to visit all those places. The Cloud City one was always like awesome to me. So hey, finally going there.
I miss the anticipation of going to all those planets. And that ride actually was advertising that ability since it even showed up. So Disneyland and Disney World both. And it was always disappointing to me that they did not change the films more frequently. And of course, when they updated it to random, you didn't know where you were going. I thought that was very cool. At the same time, it just felt like it was 30 years too late.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same thing that we're suffering with from this Smuggler's Run attraction. Is that they took their sweet time on it. They could have beautiful tie-ins, I think, with all of that. But I could be wrong. I mean, maybe people have different perspectives. But I always felt like you have the technology and you are a studio company. You probably could produce these films a little quicker. Just
you would think.
Since it's only been since 2019 that they've had a Star Wars film in theaters.
It's been a bit, and I mean they weren't really making an effort at anything else. So they kind of could have spent a little bit of time making a few digital scenes for a new Smugglers something.
And you think about that breakneck pace. I mean, they had they've had 5 theatrical Star Wars films since Kathleen Kennedy came back, and they might have had to shoot several of those movies 2 or 3 times before they hit theaters. So that's a lot of movies that they have made.
Yeah. I mean, and think about all this
been released.
Yeah, but Jonas, think about all the scenes, spaceship battle scenes that were shot that they didn't use. Just throw them into one of these simulators. It'd be more fun. I tell you what, I am not going to go harvest gas ever again on Smuggler's Run. That's not a good time.
What is it?
I don't care a night. But
coaxium. That's what
coaxium,
it is.
Yeah,
I had to think about that.
Yeah, they had to incorporate so Last Jedi and Solo and Smuggler's Run. They're like, no, these hyperspace things, they run on fuel. Therefore, I'm like, guys, this is lame. We're leaning towards Star Trek with this kind of stuff. We don't really need that. We're not worried about natural resources. We're worried about fantasy themes about fighting good and evil. What do you do?
Correct. Have us run some blasters or some spice, But no, we gotta go with the gas. Come on, Disney, stop being lame. Dragon Queen with $2. Gravity works differently in Star Wars.
Yep, it does.
We have learned that all too well. Thank you, Dragon Queen, for everything.
Ancient Sith daggers also are able to predict where Death Star ruins end up many hundreds of years later or something.
Oh, don't get me started with that.
I feel like we're having a lot of fun with this subject, because we're mocking it. That's not the way you're supposed to enjoy Star Wars. You're supposed to enjoy it, because it's good.
It's how you can enjoy the holiday special.
That's true. Oh wait, no! Come on now, that's gold. Are you kidding? Compared to Acolyte, the Star Wars special is holiday special is the greatest piece of television ever made. I bet you it would get better ratings than the Acolyte. They would put it on,
especially for the cost.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.